I was talking to someone yesterday, and we had a lot of jokes flying around. And at one point, I brought up like having to work in a space where everybody got the same salary. And it was a funny thought. And they were like, yo, you should make a video about that. If everybody got the same salary, everybody showed up and got the same reward for the work they did, what job would you choose? I know I would still choose the things that I have chosen to do because I chose them from a space of love. I chose them from a space of somewhat desperation. And I got to a point where I understood that I didn't have anything else in the world that I valued that much. I made the mixtape that I wanted to make with a friend of mine. I had got the fitness goals that I was after. I proved to myself that I could change my diet. I proved to myself that I could overcome a mental health stigma that I was given and living through. So after that, I recognized I kind of want to teach kids. And I had that decision. I made that decision at the start of the pandemic. I really sat into this thought that if the world were to end this year in 2020, what did I do that I was really grateful for? And I kind of just had these thoughts of like, what are some bucket list items that I could complete without having to sacrifice too much? And one of those bucket list items happened to be helping kids and teaching them math and teaching them some of the things that I learned growing up. So I just sit into that question a lot. I have posed that question as if you didn't have to make money, what would you do? But a lot of people don't understand that, as well as if we made the same amount of money for everything, there was no special value put on the fact that you're a doctor. There was no monetary gain to be had because you play sports. Some people wouldn't chase these quote unquote dreams. Everybody don't love the game of basketball. Everybody doesn't love making music. Everybody doesn't love healing people. Like I've met doctors who don't show up with love. They show up with, I'm getting a check. I took out too much student loan debt, so I'm here. And that's unfortunate. If we got to a point in society where people could move from more love, I think it could be more interesting. I acknowledge the need for survival. I've been in that space, so I don't deny that experience either. But I just recognize that when my life is focused more on the gratitude, just focus more on the abundance surrounding me, the things that I can control, when my life is harmonious, I feel better. I made a salary that wasn't worth mentioning when I taught at the school, but I had a joy that was unlike anything I had experienced prior because I knew I was making an impact, and that meant more to me than having things. It meant more than having things, and I was blessed to be able to step into that space at a time where it didn't matter what you had. You just had to make sure you were healthy enough to make it through that year. I lost a lot of family members during that time, not just the COVID, but also to life circumstance and other health conditions. So it made me really conscious of my health. Like if I got all of the things that I wrote down on my wish list, if I got that S-Class Benz, if I got that Jeep, if I got that Ferrari, if I was able to drive that Lamborghini, if I got all of those shiny things, would I truly be fulfilled? And I recognize that isn't true. If I got all those things and my mother wasn't in my life in a healthy way, I wouldn't feel happy. If I had to bring somebody else into that equation to play mom for me, it would suck. I like my mama. I don't think that's true for everybody. And I'm grateful that I have that space. I'm grateful that I have the people that I have in my life. And that doesn't mean they're perfect. It just means that I can accept them for who they are because they accept me for who I am. And I'm a lot. I acknowledge that I'm not an easy person to deal with. Like that is one of the benefits of just knowing self. So, like I said, for anybody out there that is in a space where they may be confused about career decisions and may be angry about their lot in life, Just think about that. What would you do if we all made the same amount of money? If you didn't get a special hoorah for having a certain type of job, if you didn't have the student loan debt, and this is for the kids who are going into careers. I get so peeved about people telling students that are graduating, you got to do something that makes money. Let them figure out what they actually like before we start talking about the money. Because one of the sad things is, I was told poli-sci wouldn't work for me. I was told communications wouldn't work for me. I was told history majors don't make any money. I was told, why would you want to be a teacher when you can do calculus? And this was from counselors who were projecting. They didn't have math abilities, and they were mad about their sociology degree. So they were telling me like, oh, why would you do this? It's like, bro, like, because like, I love this idea. And I don't know, I guess I do have this. I made a joke about poor righteous teacher. I do have this thing where I would be broke out here doing the work that I like to do, because I just like to do the work. And I don't really care what society says about what's valuable, because I see what comes from what they value. I see how many people get hurt in the process of worshiping money. I see how many people get pushed to the wayside. I see how many people are suffering in silence because of what society values. So I will loudly say what I value. I will loudly go chase the things I value. I'll go be the teacher that makes $30,000 for as long as I can, But the funnier part for that was, I stopped teaching because of the parents and the admin. The administration wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. They weren't supporting me, and the parents were getting egregious, straight up. Like, parents like threatening me through emails, like questioning my competency, like all of these things that were very disrespectful. It was the parents. It was not my students. My students were magical. Like, the students are going through a lot. A lot of the students are struggling to read. A lot of the students are being diagnosed with things that they don't get a full understanding of. People are talking around the students. They get an IEP. They get whatever thing that they have, and they have no true agency in their spaces. The children are suffering because of adults. It's not the kids' fault. Like, they showed up here and were given an iPad. But we're not looking at the person who gave them the iPad. It's not the kid's fault. They showed up here and TikTok was the big thing, and the parents said, I'm not looking at that. Go ahead, go in that back room and leave me alone. That's what the parents did. I'm going out tonight. You watch the little siblings. That's what the parents do. That's not the kids. And then they grow up to be hurt individuals. And they have a choice to either heal their hurt or go hurt more people. And that's what we're dealing with. We're not dealing with a group of just evil kids. People don't start evil. Like, that's such a foolish idea. People don't just start evil. Some people really are wild. But it is a lot of things in environment that make it okay for them to be that way. And I don't think we're honest enough about that as a society. So let's step down from this pulpit, and I just want to say that to anybody. What job would you do if you didn't have to make money? What job would you do if we all made the same amount and you couldn't brag about what you made and you didn't feel special because you make six figures? And what's so funny about this era that we're in is inflation has gotten to the point where if you don't make over 200,000, there's no point in talking about just six figures. I liked knowing that the taxes is what the taxes is. If you use a tax calculator, I want anybody out here to do this. Think about your dream number, the number you think will free you, and use a tax calculator. If you were to make $1 million and they're taxing 30% to 40% of your million, you're leaving with 600,000. So you don't even have the space to budget the way, like you're budgeting for $1 million, but you have $600,000. That's evil. You've budgeted for $1 million. Like, you're moving like I'm $1 million, and you got really 600 of them things. That's diabolical. You are 40% short of the mark. Even if you left with the 700, if it was just 30% tax, which is probably not, if it was that much, My G, $300,000? You short $300,000 and you budgeted for $1 million. People out here budgeting for $100,000 and leaving with 67 after they take the retirement fund, the health insurance packaging that you got roped into, all of those little special things. You got your 401k. They're probably paying you in stock options. Like, it's evil. It's nasty work. But that's what people who aren't, that's what we do when we're not fully aware of spaces. So when I did my little research and I was like, oh, 100 bands shortened to 67? I see why they selling drugs. Like, I'm not advocating for it, but like, yeah, what are we doing here? What are we really doing? And for anybody to hold that over your head, it's nasty. It's getting nasty out here. But love, 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 y'all. I'm wishing that for everybody. Love. Spaces of love. In an inner world of love. Say that too. If you're not loving yourself, right? If you're not having a concept of what loving yourself is, I need you to take time to find that out. Don't get in no more relationships. Don't jump into no new communities without really understanding what you like. Because one of the things I've noticed is, even in healthy spaces, it could be a good community, but it ain't your community. It ain't your community. You really don't like yoga, and that's fine. You don't have to force yourself to like yoga, but it could be a start to figure out what you like. I've done yoga and I've realized I don't like every aspect of it. I don't like everybody that does yoga. It just is what it is. But I like the people that I like, and I build into the spaces in the way that I can. But you gotta have boundaries too. Don't just think you gotta show up and give everything because you're in a good community. These are good people. Yeah, they're good people, but they might not be your people. See, the thing about life is there's good and there's great. Great is most likely what was ordained for you. Good could be good to everybody. Oh, that's a good man. It's a good man that does all of these things that people accept in life. But he's not a great man to every woman. He's just good, you know? So somebody out there thinking, I feel bad for not being able to appreciate this person. No, don't feel bad. That's just not your person, and that's fine. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, surprisingly. It really, I'm gonna laugh at my own jokes, but that's the part. I'm really not everybody's cup of tea, and I've had to accept that part. I don't have to be liked by everybody, and you don't either. You just have to be liked, or you would hope that you're liked by people that genuinely want to be around you. I genuinely enjoy building with you. I got friends that don't want to do yoga, and we don't do yoga together, but we do the things that we do well together when we can. So, yes, I'm a little long-winded this morning, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful and I'm energized. And like I mentioned, it's a dark time of the year. There are a lot of moments that will be had in isolation or in spaces with a lot of people, but you still feel isolated. That's the other part, right? Because we're getting into family time, right? So we're having to show up in space, having to show up. We really don't have to, but we're having to show up more in spaces we don't want to be in, and contorting, and we're walking in a room with like our elbow wonky and stuck in spaces we didn't ask to be in, but we felt like we had to. We felt obligated to be in spaces. So when you're obligated to be somewhere, you're really isolated. All right, so I want anybody out there to just be conscious of that part. Be conscious of where we are as a collective, so you don't take some of these things personal. You don't take people not responding to you personal. You don't take people not showing up to space personal, right? Don't cut people off because of how they're acting in the darkest time of the year. Just give people more understanding, give them more grace, and when the light comes back out, maybe y'all catch up, maybe y'all don't. But it's harder to mend those wounds when we're being petty to people at this time of year. Like, nah, they didn't show up to Christmas. Mans might be struggling at work. Mans might be going through. Mans might be depressed. Like, we don't know. They might have lost somebody around this time of year. They could have lost somebody earlier in the year, and now they're dealing with that pain as they're having to sit still, right? Give people some grace. Give people some understanding, and give yourself that same thing. But I don't like to I don't play about mental health because I've had my own experiences with it. I've had my own coming to terms with it. I have called myself crazy. I felt crazy. I've gaslit myself. I've hated myself, right? But on the other side was a lot of light. And I had to be honest about that shadow. I had to be okay with that shadow part of myself. I can't run from it. I can't out succeed it. You know, I can go do all of the things, but like that part of me is major. It's major to my development, right? So yes. Ooh, good days, man. Good days. As I always say, one day made better is many days made greater. I'm uplifting you to be in a world that cares. If I keep it to myself, I think that's unfair. The joys we're given are best when shared. I'm wishing you peace, prosperity, and many blessings. Have a beautiful day. We are built in private, blessed in public. Whether they like it or love it, the process is trusted. Check out some of the latest interviews that I've posted. Like, share, subscribe to the page. Share this with somebody, right? Share these messages. Talk about me. Hopefully in a positive way. Maybe there's a boogie in my nose that I haven't noticed. Just do what needs to be done so this community can grow into one where I'm not the only one talking, right? I really do appreciate having a space where we can share our experiences, where we can give a voice to some of this. When we go silent, that is where the problems start to fester. When we can't communicate anymore because we're afraid of how people react, right? We got to find safe spaces to communicate. Now, I'm not saying that to say jump in these comments and say something that got everybody looking at you wild. Reach out to me directly. Like, reach out. Let's build, right? CharmCityBipper.com. Charm City Bipper on most of the platforms. A guy from a place. That's this thing. As I always say, be blessed. Yeah.
We were searching for the right way, did a lot of wrong. Can't go back, gotta move on. Gotta move forward, corrections given and accepted. Living still brings pain, even when you're moving with the best intentions. And you blessed with visions of joy, bliss, peace. Gratitude for every day I live to speak and I live to breathe in growth and abundance.